Hello and welcome to Driven by Doing podcast. Today we have Daniel Wax from Indianapolis. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Danny. I'm in Indianapolis now. I'm from Miami Beach, Florida. Just moved out here around 4 months ago to Indiana. Midwest is completely different. Midwestern hospitality is a real thing I never knew about, first of all. It's insane. People are actually nice. Damn, we are recording. Okay. But you kind of wanted me to go over my story from the beginning, right?
Yes, so let's hear your story. How your entrepreneurial journey got started. Like, are you always wanting to become an entrepreneur? So let's go back your college days and how you got started in entrepreneurship back there.
I'll take you back a little further. So it all started when I was 16 years old. So originally I wanted to be in finance. I started trading stocks when I was like 13 years old. I wanted to run a hedge fund. That was my end goal.
Wow.
And then when I was 16 years old, one of my best friends approached me and said, I want to start a nonprofit that goes to lower income schools and provides tutoring, after school activities, everything like that to reduce socioeconomic inequality, provide resources to people who don't have them. And so he asked me if I wanted to co-found it with him. And so I ended up co-founding this nonprofit called Miami Youth Empowerment, where in the span of 2-3 years, from when I was 16 to 18, we ended up going to about 9 different elementary school and middle schools in lower income neighborhoods in Miami. Brought them after school activities from sports to tutoring to computer science, public speaking, brought them textbooks, laptops, tablets, everything. It's still going on today, just took a back seat from it. And it was in that time that I realized I got really invested in the mission, and I realized it became a goal of mine, a drive to give people the resources to develop themselves and what they needed to have, that all people should be on the level playing field. And so when I went to college, I took a step back from the nonprofit, spent about a semester there, and I got kicked out of school.
Wow, tell us how that happened.
Yeah, so I went to a club. I wanted to be in Greek life, joined a fraternity, and I ended up leaving a club before I even got in the fraternity with a drink in my hand, and I gave an officer a fake ID.
Wow.
And I got kicked out of school, and my parents also cut me off, said, figure it out. And I took what I had learned from the nonprofit, and I had no money to my name either. So now I was in the same situation as the people I was helping in the past. And I decided to figure out a way to monetize my mission, which is to say, be able to help those who don't have the resources to help themselves, while also being able to profit off of it, which is very hard to do when you're talking about your end user being someone who doesn't have cash to pay for what you're going to be offering. So I turned around and I realized that under No Child Left Behind, if you remember that federal legislation, every state needed to fund a private tutoring organization. So Florida didn't have one at the time. Theirs committed fraud against them. And luckily I knew the previous superintendent of Miami-Dade. I get in contact with him, and I end up getting it so that they're talking about funding my tutoring organization that isn't even created yet to subsidize any student who has free or reduced lunch. The Florida government would pay for the tutoring sessions. I end up going back to school. I get back in when they see that I start doing well with my business. They're like, you can come back now. So I go back to Florida State with a degree in entrepreneurship now, in commercial entrepreneurship. And I win a few pitch competitions in college that give me some funding, all with behind it that, I was going to have this federal funding.
Wow. So let's take a step back there. Now you went back to college and they asked you to come, and now you wanted to become an entrepreneur and you pitched your ideas at different pitch competitions. Tell us about that experience, because a lot of students might not be aware of these opportunities while they were in college, because they always think about, like, yes, getting those assignments done, but I think there was a lot of wonderful opportunities while in college. Like, share us how you got to know about those competitions and how you took advantage of it.
Yeah. So before, when we were talking, you were talking about working with accelerators and incubators. So the way that I came across it was when I came back to school, I decided to look up every single club or anything that was an organization at Florida State University where I went to see what would interest me. And I'm looking through this, and I have my idea, and I'm working towards it, towards having a finished product out of it, a company to have out there. And I see that there's an incubator for students, and there's an entrepreneurship club. And I get involved in this entrepreneurship club. The president I've become good friends with. They introduced me to the incubator, and I end up getting into this incubator. And all the people there are like, "You should check out this pitch competition." And it was really just looking up one thing that struck a chord with me, and from there asking people, "What is the next logical step?" I never had all the answers. I still don't. No one ever does. It's all about asking the people who know what those answers are. And so the way that I found out about everything was by finding one thing that struck a chord with me and asking everyone from there what's the best course of action.
That's amazing, Daniel. So I think you figured everything out as you went through that process, because a lot of us be thinking that, hey, it's kind of overwhelming to do all these things even though there are opportunities. And you just shared that, hey, like, and nobody knows anything on the onset. It's just the process that helps us to find out those answers. And it's very important for a lot of students or professionals who are listening to this, need to understand that. And thanks for sharing your journey and story there. And what happened next? So once you won those competitions, like, tell us the next part of it.
Yeah, so I win competitions and I have a falling out with my partner. I, at that point in time, I had no experience in entrepreneurship, no experience in business. And I started to treat a business account kind of like a personal account. And that was my fault. And I decided I took some money from the business account. Being completely honest and transparent here, I haven't shared this often. And I had a falling out with my business partner. And he said, "I don't want to be a partner with you anymore. And I want my share of the bank account." And so I'm able to pay him back and with the winnings from the pitch competitions and pay him for his equity. And then 2 days later, I get a call from an investor who was an original investor in Chegg, who says, "I want to invest in your tutoring software." And he invests. I now have more equity, more cash in the bank account for the company. Yet it was a, it was like getting a reward for something I felt I shouldn't have been rewarded for. And so I kind of strayed away from. It didn't feel like it was done the right way. I don't know if you understand what I mean there. It didn't feel that how the business was being built was the right way. And we did a test trial with about 300 students, and it worked amazing. And that investor, this is only like a month later, that investor asked to buy me out completely for the whole software. And he buys me out because I had lost my motivation to pursue this thing. I'd lost a friendship from it. I made up with that friend now. Now we're good again. It's one of my close friends again. But I realized I'd lost a relationship to business because of the way that I was acting.
So let's go one step back, and like, how did you come up with that idea to create that edtech platform or a tutoring platform? Was it something that you wanted to create just for your friends or your classmates, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I realized the impact that I had on some of the students with the volunteer organization, with being able to give them someone behind them to support them, give them resources. And I wanted to expand that across to everyone that I could potentially reach. That's my mission in life. I want to inspire people, give them the tools to develop themselves. And so I wanted to expand that to more people. And the best way to do that is to move online. You can reach more people that way. You can do it at scale. And then the second thing is I was really pushed against a corner. I was at a point where I was kicked out of college. My family and I weren't talking. So I needed to figure out a way to feel good about what I was doing while also support myself. And so while I do pro bono consulting, pro bono tutoring now, it's something I love doing. I love helping people. I needed to allocate my time correctly in a way that would make money. And luckily, there was a route to do it through the government that didn't affect the end user.
So then what happened? Like, did you just bring your friends who know how to code? Like, do you already are a software engineer who can code? So what next steps that you have taken in order to make it a reality?
Yeah, so I won that pitch competition. It was a one for idea. It was called the Innovation Challenge at Florida State. I won about $7,500, enough to bootstrap, definitely enough to bootstrap a company. I found a software development company, had them develop a whole platform. I basically created it on Photoshop, showed them exactly what I wanted, and they built it out for me. It was a lot of my startup cost. Built that out, got the LLC all figured out with Sunbiz back in Florida. Got an advisor for the company whose name was Michelle Koopman. He actually huge in the business education technology space. And so I ended up working with him. He gave me direction on how to go about everything, told me, let's lay out a plan for where you want the company to be in 6 months and then reverse engineer it backwards from those 6 months. So when do we need the software developed by? If we need the software developed by that time, how are we going to prove the concept? How are we going to get to market? And it was all answering those questions that really, you can't go into anything without a plan. I think of it of like going to the gym. I'm not a person who goes often. Business and it is the same. You're not going to go in there and become this beast or this person who's huge or toned if you don't have a plan heading into it. If you just walk in there and say, those are cool weights, I'm going to lift them. You're going to have a plan. You're going to say, I'm going to execute, today we're going to work on this type of exercise. Same thing for business. We need to outline, this is how we're going to get to market. This is the marketing strategy that's going to get us there. Here's how we validated it, or here's past successes doing it in the industry.
So that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that story, how you got your first startup in college, while in college. So now you actually sold your company, and now what happened? Where did you go from there?
From there, I decided to be a college student for about a year. Took what I sold it for and decided to invest a bit so that I had a safety net and be a college student, because this is back when I was 18, 19 years old. And then I ended up starting another company because I was in the entrepreneurship school at Florida State. And in that school, we didn't have finals. We needed to start a business and show profitability. And it was amazing. I love the setup there. And then, so I started out with 4 other students. We tried to create a straw that detected drugs in people's drink while being biodegradable. Unfortunately, the science behind it was very tough, even though we had funding, and we couldn't figure it out. But at that time, I took a job doing remote sales for a company that did point of purchase and field marketing for craft breweries and spirits. So kind of like custom tap handles, displays. So I got a background in sales in that time. I did it not often enough, not enough to be a full-time gig, but enough that I could support myself in college and still have the other company, what I had from there. And then when that company didn't work out with the straws, I decided to try again in the coffee industry, basically trying to be a competitor to Keurig, where we did a biodegradable version of a Keurig machine that also did an instant cup of cold brew coffee. And that never got off ground as well. Again, had funding for it, had mentors, never really finished the engineering side of it, because when I was getting very close to finishing the product, the complete product, or the second iteration of the prototype ready to go to market, I got a call from one of the guys here at Connected, one of the founders, and he said, I want you to come do sales with us. And it was someone I had gone to college with, and I came out to Indianapolis about 4 months ago and loved it here and saw the way this company grew, saw the culture, the product, and realized that it aligned with my original mission of giving people the tools and resources to develop themselves. Because on LinkedIn, you can make a name for yourself, and they created a tool that automates and personalizes making meaningful relationships and puts you in conversations like the one that we're having right now. We would have never met if the software didn't hit Nate. And so I love what we're doing here, and it had me sell off my equity in that coffee company and devote myself to this and move to Indianapolis. And I'm loving it because it aligns with my mission.
That's awesome, Daniel. So thanks for sharing the whole journey, how you got into connected now, and like you love what you're doing. I definitely see that passion, and you have an amazing story. So let's talk about your journey on LinkedIn. So that's what you day in and day out, you love connecting with people. Let's share some of those stories.
Yeah. So, let's see. I left college, and when you're in college, everyone sees LinkedIn as this is where I'm going to land a job. You don't see it as much else. It's really weird. Me, myself, I wasn't looking for jobs on LinkedIn. I was actually looking for heads of sales, head of marketing at companies on Angel List. If you've heard of angel.co, yeah, it's great. They have a bunch of, if people don't know who are going to be listening, angel.co. It's just a bunch of startups post jobs on there. It's amazing. Yeah, it's great. And so everyone's used LinkedIn as a job posting, and we started to realize, the guys who founded this company, that you can get business on LinkedIn. And so they built out a tool that automates and personalizes your connection request to someone, follow-ups in their inbox, collects and consolidates their data for you to call, email, anything. Very easy to use tool. And I saw it. They showed it to me, and when they called me and said, "We want you to work here," and I took a look at it, and I told myself, "Wow, this is a lot different. This is all it's going to do is set me up into conversation with people." So it all depends how I want that conversation to go. And with how the world is right now, everyone's so receptive on LinkedIn, topping into meetings, to talking, to having a conversation, that it's just been another way for me to form relationships and help people reach the people that they want to. I've gone from, in 3 months, from 1,000 connections on LinkedIn to about 5,000 now. And all the difference is I'm actually investing in all those new 4,000 people. I know what they do. So if someone asks me, "Danny, I need to meet someone in in the software development space who can code me something," I know a person for that. If someone asks me, "I need a mentor who's going to be able to teach me go to market strategies," I know a person for that. So it's all just being able to connect people to the people that are going to develop them in life, which goes back to my original mission that we were talking about, where I want to see people develop themselves and meet their whole potential. And so taking all that and combining it with the situation that we're in, I'm just loving it.
That's just awesome, Daniel. So the way that you're leveraging LinkedIn in order to not just take advantage of like how the tool is, but also connecting other people who are in need of something to people who might have that skill. That's just amazing because I mean I love LinkedIn for the exact reasons why you like it too. Because there's a lot of great potential there, and just getting to know other people is something that I'm so passionate about. And just learning from other people, especially no matter what skill or what area that you're interested in, there are a ton of people who are already exactly doing the same that you would love to do one day. And I think just looking at these people inspires me every single day. And if you wanted to become an entrepreneur, if you wanted to get into data science or software engineering, so there are tons and tons of people that can actually are actually willing to help you and guide you. And sometimes it's just a matter of just asking for help because people might be sometimes scared or it can be overwhelming. So, what would you tell students or professionals who are on LinkedIn who are just getting started, just like the way you just shared your story? How can they really leverage LinkedIn? Because that's where you help them to really generate leads, or if they're just looking for a job or a different opportunity, how do you think they need to take advantage of it?
Yeah, so I actually just on LinkedIn last week on Friday, and it's big to me. You know, use your LinkedIn profile to show your personality. Everyone has a resume. I've never accepted people's resumes. I like to see someone's personality. And I feel like that's the way we're trending in business. So when you're on your LinkedIn profile, your about section, your picture, you can do a voice recording now that's supposed to be a name pronunciation, but you can use it for anything. Just stand out from the crowd. Actually post on there something that's relevant to you, not just buzzwords. And that's going to make the whole world of a difference. Use it to show your personal branding, because that's huge to me. If you can show across on your profile that you are personally branded, that you have value to yourself as a person, that's going to add to the company regardless of the job description, then it's going to be perfect. If your profile is different, that it makes someone want to talk to you, that's perfect. And the other way that I have to say it is always be asking for help. That's the thing. If you don't ask, you'll never receive. And so, regardless of who the person is, always be asking for help. And if your LinkedIn profile, you're messaging them on that medium, and your profile is something that has your personality shining through, you're going to get the response that you want.
That's amazing. You touched upon a couple of things there, Daniel. Like you talked about standing out, right? Let's talk a little bit about that because a lot of people are on LinkedIn, but sometimes we don't take advantage of it the way that we can. So how can people stand out, and what would you tell somebody who's just maybe just signed up in the last couple of years and who is trying to figure out how to leverage it? What would you tell a person who's just getting started there?
Yeah. On a surface level, LinkedIn, you know, have an about section that's not written like Daniel did da da da. Nobody cares. Have you can see that in your experience, in your education, add that there. In your about section, have something that talks about who you are as a person, what's changed you, what's molded you. Kind of use it the same way that you would tell your life story. And then have a picture that shines through, shows who you are, shows your face very clearly, and a headline that makes you pop out, and anything to build someone's curiosity, to garner enthusiasm, anything along those lines. When it comes to standing out more so, it's that shines through in the messenger to me. Everyone nowadays is messaging people the same way on LinkedIn. They're saying, I noticed you were in XYZ. Um, I noticed you were here. Here's my business. This is what we can do. Nobody cares. Be a genuine person the same way you normally talk. And I think that's what really gets people to stand out. I'm someone who will message the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, yo, what's up, dude? Because it gets responses.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it down very simply there. Thanks for sharing that. Because just be real and be authentic. I think that's where people really get connected to. So, do you have any experiences that you can share, like how you wanted to reach out to somebody and how you really nail down your message in order to get their attention?
Yeah. So I've actually been talking with a few people who are VPs of sales for SaaS companies, and two of them I've been talking to a lot. One of them, actually, me and him had a messaging conversation this morning that was all memes and basketball. That was like Kool-Aid's here and yo, heat to the championship. Because the way that we started messaging was we found each other on a post that we started commenting on together and replying to each other. And then we end up connecting with each other and it's, yo, dude, I liked your insight on here. I saw you're a basketball fan. Yeah, me too, bro. Let's hop in a call and a virtual coffee. And it was the same way that I would talk to a friend that I met out at a restaurant or someone I'd meet at a sporting event. And it just felt genuine to the point that we're now on Facebook together. We're friends on Facebook. We've got each other on Instagram. We text. And I'm waking up on a Monday morning after the Heat make it to the finals because I'm from Miami with him sending me memes and everything. And these players killed it for me in basketball. I'm loving it. And we're just talking sports. And he's someone who's a mover and shaker. And it's just great to be in that type of mindset with someone and have that type of personal relationship.
Wow, that's just a great story. Thanks for sharing that story, how it happened. And now let's talk about the sales. You help salespeople to get more leads on LinkedIn. So what about that process? Like, how can you help a lot of salespeople, and how did you get started there?
Yeah. So honestly, the same thing that I was saying, people don't like to be sold. People like to actually talk to another person on the other end of the phone. So it's coming across very genuine. And if you're on LinkedIn, remember, people are on LinkedIn for three reasons. They're there to generate new business. They are there to meet referrals, stay in touch with people in their network. So if that's the case, if you have a service, product, whatever it is, or yourself, you can provide a value to someone that's going to generate them new business, save them time, hit on one of those pain points, then you're going to be able to generate business on LinkedIn. So it's all LinkedIn is a top of funnel solution. It's where you're going to meet people. There's 700 million people on LinkedIn. The average LinkedIn user's income is $73,000 per year. So literally, it's instead of cold calling someone, which takes 8 times to reach a prospect, instead of emailing, which takes an average of 12 times to reach someone on touch points. On LinkedIn, you connect with someone, they're going to see every like, post, and comment you make. You're going to have their phone number and email because of their profile info right there. And then it's all just getting a hold of them in Messenger to bring the conversation off of LinkedIn. So if you have a clear value, if you have a good sales process, then LinkedIn is your solution to not be cold calling, not be cold emailing, not spend 2 hours on Facebook a day, Instagram a day, to literally just send out a message and someone say, yeah, let's hop in a Zoom call because they've seen your profile and see that it's something that provides value to them and you came across genuine.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that insight, especially for sales folks who are trying to generate new leads and trying to take advantage of, I think, just the value that it can offer you.
Mm-hmm.
Just automating your processes. I think there is a ton of softwares, and especially Connected is a great tool as well. So let's talk about connected and how it helps like salespeople generate more leads.
Yeah, so like I was saying with LinkedIn, you have your profile that's going to show what you do and messages and connections that are going to put you in front of the prospects that you want to talk to. So what we do here at Connected is first things first, we help you out with LinkedIn any way that we can, whether that's making your profile look the best that we can, turning it into a landing page, consulting with you on the best way to get LinkedIn clout. And then, but our software, our main offering here, our software Connected, what we do is we automate and personalize the connection request up to 15 follow-ups in someone's inbox and collect and consolidate all of the information of everyone in your target audience, reaching out to up to 100 people per day at scale, all personalized. So quick elevator pitch for you. We basically make it so that everything that comes across genuine about you in conversation, we can automate and personalize.
That's amazing. That's a great tool. Definitely, I see a lot of reviews for Connected and how it is helping people. And it can be leveraged for any industry, I believe, because of the network that we have on LinkedIn. So, just one final question, Daniel. Like, what would you do differently if you're just getting started today?
What would I do? Oh, I think it goes back. What would I do differently in my life so far?
Yeah,
I think the one thing I would do differently, it goes back to what I was talking about with my first business. I made decisions that I should not have, and I mixed business and personal life. And I think I would have liked it if earlier on in my life I came up with my goals for where I want to be 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 1 year. And I reverse engineered it and made my plan earlier. I used to have an end goal in mind with who I wanted to be and have a drive, but I never told myself to reach that point every day. I need to be doing X, Y, Z. I think I lined that up a little. I didn't line it up too late. Obviously, it's never too late. But if I lined it up a bit earlier, I don't think I would have ran into the same pitfalls that I had in business so far. And now that that's aligned, I have every day something I know what I need to do. And I think that's something I can leave with everyone as a final thing. Have a clear vision for what you want in life. And once you have that, you can reverse engineer that back from 3 years to a year to months to the week to the day to determine what you need to do to reach that goal.
that's amazing. Thanks for sharing all those great insights and how you're helping salespeople and your entrepreneurial journey. It's just amazing. And I'm sure you're going to achieve all the great things that you wish or you're just dreaming for years to come. Thank you so much, Daniel. So, where can people connect with you if they wanted to reach out to you and just connect with you on LinkedIn or any other areas?
People can reach me on LinkedIn. That's linkedin.com/in/Daniel Wax, or just search up Daniel Wax. Also, if anyone listening wants my Calendly to book 30 minutes with me to talk, it is calendly.com/Daniel Wax.
Awesome. So, listeners, thank you so much for listening. And this is just amazing story from Daniel Wax. And I hope a lot of you are going to take advantage of LinkedIn just to create your own personal brand and how it can help you leverage your networks to your advantage. And thank you so much for listening. And please share, review, and comment on the podcast and the video show as well. Thank you. Take care.